About the a subject that has really been on my heart for a while, and hopefully that hopefully all of us it can apply to all of our lives. But this morning, what I want to teach about is the danger of living life with no borders. The danger of living life with no borders. And so, hopefully, all of us can learn from just a simple outline this morning, just a simple lesson. And so, but the danger of living life with no borders. Could you imagine today, President Obama gets up, President Obama walks to the podium, and President Obama says, from now on, America will have no borders. No borders. We're taking our border patrol. We're not going to have no more border patrol. We're not going to have no more of the law enforcement on the borders. We're going to take all that away in Texas. We're going to have no more there. We're going to have no border there in California. We're going to have no border in on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, so people can come and go as they please. We're going to take the border away from Canada. People can just come and go as they please. Could you imagine the chaos that would be in the United States of America? Could you imagine all of the terrorists? It would be just open game. I mean, they would be able to come and go as they please, and it would just be unbelievable. And what would happen in our country if our president got up and said, we are no longer going to have any borders for our nation? It would make a lot of people mad. I mean, a lot of people would be absolutely irate. I'm sure that all of us would really stock up on our guns and ammo. I would. I'd go buy more ammo for sure and just getting ready, because when you take away the borders, then the enemy can just come right in. I mean, the enemies can just come right over into our country. Could you imagine if we had no border there? If we had nobody watching Russia? And Russia could just come in whenever they wanted to. Could you imagine if we just had no border or no one watching what China was doing? Could you imagine if no one was watching what the terrorists were doing over in these other countries, and we would just let them come and go as they please? It would bring absolute destruction to our nation. Could you imagine? And it's sad. And you'll hear a lot of people, they'll harp on borders. And Donald Trump has been running his whole campaign. One of his main things has been about building a wall. And so and a lot of people harp on that. We need to build a wall. We need to have border patrol. We need to have, we need to stop the immigration, the illegal immigration. We need to do this. We need to do that. But what is sad is, it's like no one has borders for their home. We live life. Oh yes, everybody wants to have borders for our nation, and I'm for our nation having a border. I am for us watching and seeing what, not just letting the enemy come and go as they please, but then we take our homes and we have no borders. We just let things come in our home without really checking them out. We just let anything come, anything happen in our home. We'll let any type of movie come into our home. We'll let any type of books come into our home. We'll allow any type of music to come in our home, and we need to have a checkpoint. As the husband and as the mothers, we are the border patrol, and we're the ones. We have the checkpoint, and we check everything that's going to come in our home. That's how it's supposed to be. When it comes to when you're looking at the home. I remember going into Mexico whenever I was younger, and they would have what we call checkpoints. And we would go through the checkpoint. I remember driving in deeper into Mexico, and they had another checkpoint. And at these checkpoints, they were checking at what you was bringing into their country. I remember going into Canada, and we'd go into Canada. We got to this checkpoint, and they would check everything that we had going into Canada. But whenever I came back into the United States of America, when we got back to the checkpoint. And they would check us, and see what we were bringing back into America, into the United States of America. And then we would drive deeper in, and there would be another checkpoint. And same way when we came back from Mexico. When we came back from Mexico, they had checkpoints. And they would check to see what we were bringing back into the United States of America. I can remember we went to Ecuador, and we flew into Ecuador. they had checkpoints. And then we got there to the airport, and we had our baggage, Brother Nottingham and Miss Kate and myself, and we was there in the airport, and then we got to a checkpoint. And at this checkpoint, they would check our luggage. When we came back into the United States of America, we flew into New Orleans, we got out there, got our luggage, we came to a checkpoint, and they had armed guards there, and they were checking at what we was bringing back into our country. Well, my wife and I flew to Jamaica for our honeymoon, and we got to Jamaica, and we got to the airport. We had to go through their checkpoint system, and they had to check everything that we had, and we came back into the United States of America. We had to go through a checkpoint, and they had armed guards there, and they were checking every single thing that we were bringing back into our country. We are to take it more serious, and they took their job serious. I mean, when they were checking, thankfully they just pretty much let us go through really quick and really didn't check too much. But I mean, I was watching some people that they were checking, and they were going through everything. And they was checking everything. And I thought to myself, later on as I'm looking back and thinking, we need to be just as hardcore when it comes to checking out the things that come into our homes. When it comes to, I'm talking about the checkpoints of checking out who our children's friends are. We don't just need to allow our children just to hang out with anybody. We need to check them out. We need to see what kind of person that they are, who they're hanging around. Not just check out their friends, but check out who their mom and dad is. I want to find out if my child is going to go over to Brother Rodney's and hang out with his boys. I wouldn't have no problem with that, but I'm going to check out who Brother Rodney and Miss Shannon are. I want to know what kind of people that my children, I mean, they could go over there. I mean, I don't know what kind of background he has. I mean, I do now, but I mean, I wouldn't have known until I got to know him what kind of man he was, where my child was going. I mean, you have no clue. And so it's important that we have checkpoints. The dangers of living life with no borders. Look at Nehemiah chapter number 4. But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth and took great indignation and mocked the Jews. And he spake before his brethren in the army of Samaria and said, What do these feeble Jews, will they fortify themselves, will they sacrifice? Now you know the story. Nehemiah goes back and he's going to build the walls there at Jerusalem. He's going to build the walls back. And Sanballat is the enemy. And Sanballat, he says to some people, and he's mocking the Jews, and he says to the army of Samaria, he said, What do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? I mean, are they going to build this wall so they can fortify themselves? And he begins to mock at them. I like what he says in verse number 6, what Nehemiah says. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto half thereof, for the people, I love that right there, had a mind to work. Had a mind to work. Let me just say this in way of introduction. Number one, there's an enemy. There's an enemy. Yeah. Sanballat was the enemy. You and I have an enemy that wants to get into our home and get into our family, get into our children's heads, get into our wife, get into our husband, get into our marriage, get into our relationships and destroy them. We have an enemy. Sanballat was the enemy of Nehemiah. He was the enemy. And he was like, what are these Jews doing? I mean, they was beginning mocking them and making fun of them. And these are feeble Jews. And who do they think they are that they're going to fortify themselves? But Nehemiah knew that they was the enemy. Samaria was the enemy. Sanballat was the enemy. You know, whenever you begin to fortify your home and you put these checkpoints there, let me just say this, you're going to be misunderstood by your family. You're going to be misunderstood. You're going to have those that are going to mock you. You're going to have those that are going to say, what are you doing? I mean, what do you mean you won't let your children watch those certain types of movies? What do you mean you won't let your daughter go out and date this boy? Or what do you mean you won't let your son go here and do this? And what do you mean that you won't allow that? And you're going to have those that are going to mock you, that are going to make fun of you, and that are going to laugh at you, and that are going to scorn you. It's going to happen. They're going to be family members. They're going to be people that you work with. They're going to be people that are your acquaintances. There's going to be people that are your neighbors. But there are going to be people that are going to mock you, that are going to say, who do you think you are? And that's what Sanballat was saying. He was saying, who are these feeble Jews? What do they mean they're going to fortify themselves? You and I have an enemy. Enemy is the devil. The Bible says that he seeks about whom he may devour. The devil is looking about, seeking whom he may devour. He wants to destroy every marriage in here. He wants to destroy every relationship in here. He wants to destroy every single child, every single one of our sons, every single one of our daughters, every relationship. We have an enemy. It's the devil. And what the devil tries to do, he tries to get you and I to think that we are each other's enemy. The devil will try to convince the wife that her husband's the enemy. The devil will try to convince the husband that his wife is the enemy. The devil will try to convince the teenage girl, the teenage son, that mom and dad's the enemy. The devil will try to convince mom and dad that the teenage son or the teenage daughter is the enemy. When the real enemy is not flesh and blood. The real enemy, according to the Bible, is the devil. And he's trying to do everything he can. That's why I love the word fortify. Fortify. You know what Nehemiah was trying to do? He was trying to fortify his city. You know why Nehemiah wanted to fortify his city? Because he knew that there was an enemy. And he knew that the enemy was going to come and try to kill their women and try to kill their children. And he knew and he understood the importance of fortifying their city. You and I, we have to fortify our home. We have to fortify our home. Put what I would call checkpoints in our home so we can make sure of what's coming in our home. When it comes to reading certain types of books, we have some guidelines and some rules in our home that we don't allow, and I'm not going to get into all of the which ones and all that. We don't have time. But there's certain books that we don't allow in our home. There are certain books that I don't allow my children to read. And there's certain, I want them reading things that are going to benefit them, that are going to help them, that are going to challenge them. And I don't want them reading some fiction, fake book that's not going to do anything for their life. I want them to read something that's going to actually challenge them, challenge their mind, challenge them in the right direction. And they've already quit me. I like David Gibbs has a couple books, and so I've got Quitman, my oldest son. He's 8 years old. Reading all of David Gibbs' books. I mean, excellent books about the Constitution, understanding the Constitution, of America, and getting them reading those types of things. I don't want him reading all that other stuff. There's a lot of trash out there. There's a lot of trash, and the devil is slick. The devil's slick. He'll try to get in your home any way he can. That's why you need a checkpoint. You need to check out what they're reading. I want to challenge you. I know a lot of our kids started back school this last week. I check out what's in their science books.
Yeah, that's right.
I check them out. It doesn't matter if you homeschool. It don't matter if they go to a Christian school. It doesn't matter if they go to a public school. It doesn't matter if they go to a private school. That wouldn't matter to me. You're the mom and dad. You're the one responsible for them, not their teacher. God is ultimately going to hold you responsible for everything that your son, your daughter learns. It don't matter to me. My kids are coming to school here at Faith Baptist Academy. I have 3 that will start school here Wednesday. My wife will check out their history books. My wife will check out. You say, you don't trust the school? Yeah, I trust the school. I trust my uncle. I know my uncle's not going to allow anything in the school that's going to hinder them, but it doesn't matter. He's not the one that's responsible. God's not going to hold him accountable for what my son and daughters learn at school. God's going to hold me accountable. And so my wife she'll check out their science books. She'll check out their history books. She's going to check it out to make sure that it's not something that we will not allow in our home. A checkpoint. We're going to check out the books. And I want to challenge you. It doesn't matter what school your child goes to. I want to challenge you to check out the things that they're going to be taught. Some of their science books, they're going to promote and push evolution. You need to check that out. We had a young man that was in our church, and he was a good friend of mine. I remember him. He went to the public school, and he had a test. And the test, one of the questions was, I can remember, it was how old is the Earth? Was one of the questions. And in his science books, they learned that it's millions and millions and millions of years old. Well, that's absolutely a wrong answer. The Earth is not millions and millions and millions of years old. Evolution is 100% wrong. It's a religion that the devil has pushed into our public school systems and that he is shoving down our children's throat. And it's as much of a religion as Islam is a religion. Okay, I'll just put it out plain and simple. I mean, it is a religion that is being pushed by Satan himself. And so what we need to do as parents, we need to check out these science books. And if it's in there, we just simply need to teach our children the truth. We need to take the Bible, and say, here's what the Bible says. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But that's your job as a parent to check out what they're being taught. They're trying to rewrite our history books. We need to make sure that what they're learning is the truth. That's our responsibility. So we need to check out these the books that they learn. We need to check out whatever type of movies that you allow in your home. You need to have a checkpoint. You need to fortify your home. We will only allow our children to watch Christian-based, it has to be Christian. We're not going to allow them to watch, certain things. We have to check it out. We have to check it out. The devil's slick. He tries to get in, with certain things. We need to check out the type of music that we allow in our home. Sanballat was the enemy. And he said, what are these feeble Jews going to do? What are these feeble Jews going to do? Are they going to try to fortify themselves? So that's exactly what Nehemiah was doing. Nehemiah was fortifying his city to protect his wife and to protect his children. And that's what we have to do as parents. We have to fortify our home. We have several men in here who are in the military. And Brother Jason there, he's wearing his Navy uniform today. And in the military. Brother Davis and Brother Morse is retired military, and Brother Rodney is in the military. Brother Caleb is a veteran. And anybody else military that I missed? And these men understand fortifying. They understand what I'm talking about when it talks about other countries wanting to come in. They've been in many countries, and they've seen. And I know Brother Donnie spent how long was you in Iraq, right? Afghanistan, over a year. In Afghanistan. And so he's seen it firsthand. And you other guys have been in Iraq and Afghanistan, and y'all have seen firsthand at what the enemy wants to do to America. Well, you can look around and you can see many homes that are being destroyed, and you can see firsthand what the enemy wants to do to our homes. He wants to destroy your sons and destroy your daughters. He wants to destroy your marriage. He wants to destroy everything there is about you. Every good thing about you, the devil wants to destroy it. How do we fortify our home? Let me give you a couple quick things and we'll be done. Number one, we fortify our home by having one mind. One mind. I love our class name. It's Winning Team. We are a winning team. If you're going to be successful in fortifying your home, you have to do it as a team. The husband can't have one way, one mind at doing it, and the wife have another way. You got to be one team. Tonight kicks off the NFL. Yes. The first preseason game is tonight. He woke up. Could you imagine? I don't even know who's playing tonight. Does anybody here know who's
Colts
playing?
Colts and Packers.
Yeah. Colts and Packers. Could you imagine if, and I've used this for an illustration before, the center for Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck hikes the ball to him, and then he turns around and he tackles Andrew Luck.
That's crazy, huh?
Wouldn't that be wild? But that's exactly what a lot of wives do in the home.
Come on.
The husband runs a play, and the wife shuts it down. The husband begins to go a certain direction in the home. He has one mind for the home, and the wife, she shuts it down. She tackles him. Or the wife has one mind, and she wants to read her Bible and pray with the family, and she wants to have family devotion, and the husband shuts it down. The husband tackles the wife. The coach would bench the center. He would bench him. Could you imagine Joe Flacco? He hikes the center for Joe Flacco, hikes him, and he turns around and tackles Joe Flacco. Or Joe Flacco hands the ball off to, is it Ray Rice?
No.
Or his running back?
We got Justin Forsett.
Justin Forsett? He hands the ball, and then Joe Flacco tackles him. The coach would be like, have you lost your mind? But that's exactly what's happening to most of our homes.
Good stuff.
You got a teenage son wanting to serve God. He's wanting to go soul winning. He's wanting to work a bus route, and you got dad tackling him. You got the teenage daughter. She's wanting to dress right. She's wanting to do right. She's wanting to go to the house of God. She's wanting to be involved, and the mom is tackling her. That's exactly what goes on in many homes, and that's why the devil is destroying. We have no checkpoints. We have no borders. We don't have one mind, and you have everyone working against each other, and you don't have one team. That's why I like this class called the Winning Team. One direction. One mind, one direction. I want to give this illustration. We got 2 minutes. We don't have time to do the illustration. We'll come back next week and finish. But one direction. one direction, and then lastly, one goal. All of us in here, if I was to ask, we have, I think, 3 couples in here that's not married yet. They're going to get married eventually, soon. And of course, this class is for married couples and those who are going to be getting married. But there's a couple couples in here that's not married yet, and but their goals that they have, I'm sure if I talk to you, ask them, what they want to have is a happy and successful marriage. I've never met one person who was about to get married who said, "Bless God, I'm marrying her because I want to fight with her every single day. I want to make her life miserable." I've never met a girl yet who was getting married to the man of her dreams, and she said, "I can't wait to marry him so I can make life. I want to burn his food for him every night. I want to burn his meals. I want to make his life miserable." That's not what happens. That's not why Genesis wants to marry Marcus, so she can just make life an absolute miserable wreck for him. No. You marry her because you love her. You marry her because you want to take care of her, and you want to protect her. You want to protect her emotionally. You want to protect her physically. You want to protect her mentally. You want to protect her spiritually. I mean, you want to protect her in every area of her life. That's why you marry her. And that's why you marry him, because he's your knight shining armor. You know, he's the man of your dreams. He's a man that you dreamed of since you were just a little girl. And so you get married. And then what happens is, they get married. And then the husband wants to go this direction, wife wants to go this direction. And then they're not on the same page. They're not one mind. They're not one direction. They're not one goal. And life winds up becoming an absolute living hell on earth. That's what happens. So my challenge to you today is this. Fortify your home. Be like Nehemiah. Have some checkpoints. Have one mind, one direction, one goal. Work together as a team. Work together as a team. Let's pray. Lord, I thank you.